to another Work It Wednesday through Dressage Addict with me, Amelia, the Rider to Rider support mentor. This week we're going to have a look at halting on the centre line, both at the start and the end of your test. So today is also a very special day for Dressage Addict. It is officially their first birthday today, so happy birthday Dressage Addict. Here's to another year of helping riders de-stressage. So I thought we'd start with some examples of how it should be done. So here's a lovely Piaffe pirouette into a nice square halt by Charlotte and Gio. Then the amazing Isabel Worth doing a one-handed halt, keeping it square and straight. And then finally Charlotte on her youngsters, showing that even her babies can halt square and straight. So it's purely training, so we can all achieve this. So first we're going to look at what my priorities would be coming down the centre line as a rider. As I'm coming into the halt, I would think about these 5 things in this order. So my top priority would be straightness. I put this above everything else because even if your halt isn't quite square, if it's straight, the judge probably isn't going to notice minor discrepancies with the squareness because they won't actually be able to see the hind legs from C. To maintain this straightness, you're going to use all the tips that we looked at in the centre line post. So keeping the horse between the leg and the hand, using the leg to keep them straight, and trying not to correct too much, because if you start correcting, you'll start over-correcting and the horse will get wonkier and wonkier. You want them to feel even down both reins when you're coming down the centre line, because that generally means they're pushing evenly with both hind legs and will therefore be truly straight coming into the halt. My second priority is having the leg on because the horse absolutely must be going forward into the transition. If they're not in front of the leg coming into the transition, they'll drop to the halt. You'll get marked down for the transition being abrupt. They definitely won't halt square if they drop into the halt like behind the leg, and you're quite likely to lose straightness if they're dropping behind the leg. So all in all, the halt really isn't going to be great, so make sure they're in front of the leg. Next, I'd be thinking about my position. Am I sitting straight? Do I feel my weight is evenly on both my seat bones, down both my stirrups? Are my hands level, my shoulders level? Is my head vertical and straight down my body, looking up? Because a minor alteration in your position, left or right, is going to definitely make the horse step crooked into the halt. Next priority is the softness of the frame and the body. If the frame and the body is soft, they will step into the halt staying round. They're also likely to be more adjustable in the halt, so if you feel one leg's out and you sort of encourage it to move, they're more likely to do it without tension and it will look much more natural and correct. My lowest priority is where the legs end up, because 9 times out of 10, if you've got the top 4 right, the legs are going to end up there or thereabouts square. It's natural for a horse that's in correct balance to square up. So I don't worry about this one too much, but when I'm in the halt and I'm on one of the more experienced horses, if I do feel one leg's out, I will try and encourage it just to step in, and you'll see some examples of that soon. So this is actually one of my halts from this month's test, and it's a good example of a halt that's not quite square, but because it's nice and straight, it looks reasonable. This is another one, you get a nice wobbly walk down the centre line, but actually I just close the legs and he halts reasonably straight, so he looks quite square. This one's the opposite. He actually is walking quite straight for once. He's known to be quite wobbly, and I think it just made me take my eye off the ball. I go to the hand a bit there for the halt, and as you can see, we end up a bit wonky and the back legs are definitely out. Excuse the blurry screenshot, but this is a screenshot from that video you've just seen, and as you can see, he moved the right hind but not the left, and in this picture you can see that actually the right side of my body is sat more heavily and I'm like a bit wonky off to the right, which explains why his hind legs didn't stop evenly underneath him. So this pony really loves to kink her bum to the right, as you'll see in quite a few of these steps. So to stop her doing this in the halt, I make sure I lift my right shoulder up, and it just encourages her to put that right hind underneath for a square straight halt. This mare's the opposite and loves to leave the left hind out, so the opposite, I lift up the left shoulder to encourage that to step under. You'll see it here, the left hind just doesn't quite come underneath, but I can ask her to square that front left up and you get a reasonable halt. And the judge wouldn't see those hind legs if it was on the centre line, as you can see here. You can't see that the left hind is out. So to recap, your priorities are straightness, then keeping your leg on, then your position, then the softness of the frame and the body, and finally your lowest priority is where those legs end up, because if you've done the top 4, the 5th one should just happen naturally.